Hey class, let's get back together and take a look at the follow-up solution to the problem that I posed earlier. And that was, if we have 7/5, which we know is an improper fraction, meaning we know it's already more than one whole, because one whole would be equal to 5 out of 5 parts, 5/5. What would that look like as a pictorial problem to get an answer? So we know that it means to find a third, 1/3 of 7/5 or 7 out of 5 parts. So what I did first and foremost is below the screen here, move it over from left to right. I drew a rectangle to represent my whole. We've been doing that for quite a few lessons now. And I know that the denominator, this part right here, is really shaping what I'm going to break that whole into. So I know I break it into 5 equal parts. And the top number, the 7, is telling me how many of those parts I have in total, and I have 7. Well, if it takes 5 out of 5 to make one whole, and I have more than 5, I'm going to need a second rectangle to cover those extra parts. So that's what I've done here. I've drawn a second rectangle, split that into 5 equal parts, but again, in a second, when I shade in, I'm not going to need all of those parts. So let's fill these colors in. So we know that that's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, and that's equal to one whole. And this again is sort of a model of our mixed number. And then in my second rectangle, I'm going to need 1 out of 5 parts and then 2 out of 5 parts. So there's my 7/5. That's what it looks like as a picture. Now let's take a look at that first fraction, 1/3. What that fraction is actually telling me is out of the parts I have, or the parts in blue, I only need a third of those. So I'm going to take my dotted line this time, and I'm going to draw my horizontal line across my big rectangle to split this into 3 parts. And again, my parts being 1, 2/3, 3/3. So each row going across is equal to a third. Okay. Now I have to do that to both rectangles. So let me complete that work, and I'll do it to my second one. So there we go. Thirds. So as you can see by my picture, thirds run across rows and fifths run down columns. So I need 1/3 of 7/5. So if I were to take, again, my second color, I might shade in this third. I could choose any third, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the bottom one here in my example. So I've shaded in 1/3 of 7/5. Now what I have to figure out now is how many pieces, small fractional pieces, does it take to make up one whole rectangle? So I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's 15 parts to make up a rectangle. So that becomes my denominator, 15. Again, so again, parts to make the whole, 15. My top number, or my numerator in this case, is going to indicate how many of those parts I have. And again, this is where we get to take a look at those two colors, um, blue and red, and how many of those small boxes are consumed by two colors. So I can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me add that. So at this point, 1/3 of 7/5 is equal to 7/15. Again, my picture proves that, and hopefully you arrived at the same answer. If not, make a note of where your shading went wrong. Or maybe it wasn't the shading, maybe it was the drawing of the picture itself, the rectangles, and splitting it up. All right. So that is, again, a solution to the simple problem where we have a proper fraction and we're multiplying it by an improper fraction or vice versa.